Hello. In this video, we are going to take you through the flow of creating a purchase order. As you can see here, we have the option to create a purchase order under the procurement menu. If we click on procurement and select the purchase order create or edit option, you will see a page where you can fill in all the details related to your purchase order to create it against a vendor. To start off, you need to select a client for whom you are creating the purchase order. The client is the entity who owns the inventory in the warehouse and needs to raise this purchase order to his or her vendor. Now, this is a list of clients. For the purposes of this demo, let us select Fashion and Me as the client. Here, you have an option to select the type of purchase order you want to create. This list of values that you see is configurable. Let us select Outright for now. After selecting the type of purchase order, we go to the client vendor code. This code represents the vendor against whom you're creating the purchase order. Click on the icon next to the client vendor code and you will see a pop-up where you have the option to search for your vendor from the list of vendors associated with this client. Let us select Fashion World for the purposes of this demo. The next entity you need to select is a buyer code, which can be a default code set up to identify who from the client organization will be responsible for this purchase order. We select Lauren. Now, you need to select the receive validation code, which will set a threshold as to whether you can do excess receiving against this PO or not. Once you select no excess receiving, it means you cannot receive more than the expected PO quantity against this PO. Here is a functionality to input some additional information to your purchase order using these user-defined fields, which are configurable. You can even add terms and conditions or closing comments against this purchase order. After entering all the header level information, you can now add SKUs to this purchase order. Once you click on Add SKUs over here, a window pops up listing all the SKUs for the client that you selected before. Let us add some SKUs and add them to the PO. Now that you have selected all the relevant information, you can save this PO document. On clicking Save the Purchase Order, the document gets created successfully in the system. The next step is to confirm this purchase order. This can be done either by the same user or by a workflow wherein a supervisor first reviews the purchase order and then confirms it. On clicking the Confirm button, the status of the purchase order updates to Confirmed, which cannot be modified. In order for you to do any processing or to do an inbound against this purchase order, you need to mark it as released. Click on the Release button, which will mark the status of the purchase order to released. Now, this is the purchase order number that you have created. With this, we conclude our video on how to create a purchase order. Thank you.